Hey, this is Mike here with BuzzTox, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-filled recap and review of Episode 4 of The Mandalorian. We're going to analyze the content of the show and make some predictions about what might happen next. We had another great episode here, not nearly as good as the last one, which I thought was a masterpiece. Please go ahead and see our last deep dive into Episode 3. The episode begins here with a peaceful farming village. They're farming krill, the blue shrimp. And later on, guys say that they call themselves krill farmers. Now, that's not actually the name of the community, but what they do there. The community is raided by Klatooinians, and we see a mother and child hiding out in this tense moment while raiders pass. We then cut to the episode titled Sanctuary, back to the Razor Crest in space. The Mandalorian is looking for a place to lay low for a while with the baby, knowing full well that others will be trying to track them down. He decides to land on this backwater planet called Sorgan. We get a bit of comedy in this scene with the cute baby. He likes pressing buttons, and he's a bit stubborn. When they land on the planet, Mando clearly tells him to stay on the ship, but then he pops up next to him as he's trying to leave. So do you think that the child actually understands what he's saying? Does he know what's going on and he's just playing dumb all this time? It would be nice to see him later on in the series coming out as being able to speak like Yoda does, not normally, but like Yoda does, and having more of a conversation, seeing that he's playing dumb this whole time. We get another classic Star Wars bar scene here. This one, though, is a little lighter, showing the relative peacefulness of this planet compared to others we've been on in the past. And I love the sweet bartender in this scene who doesn't understand that Mando is trying to bribe her to learn more about the mysterious woman that's in the corner of the bar. The woman then disappears, and Mando tracks her outside. We get an idea of what he can actually do with his helmet, and there's some sort of infrared detector in it which he can use to see footsteps. The woman gets the drop on him, attacking him from above, and they fight to a standstill. Baby Yoda, and I'm going to be calling him that even though I know it's not Yoda himself, shows up drinking some soup, and he deflates the situation. We cut to back to the bar, where we learn that Cara Dune was an ex-rebellion fighter who fought cleaning up after the Battle of Endor about 5 years earlier. She was a part of this elite group sent to take out Imperial warlords, but she quit when the New Republic delegated her to be a peacekeeper, rather than someone who's going to be going out and assassinating people. Later, we learn that she was also an Imperial shock trooper, and these were elite stormtroopers, before she joined the rebellion. Cara says that she attacked him because she has a bounty on her head and thought that Mando was hunting for her. She leaves the bar, essentially telling Mando that he has to leave the planet because she was there first. We then see two of these krill farmers approach Mando as he's gearing up to leave the planet, and we get the plot for how things are going to play out in the rest of the episode. They know Mandalorians are mercenary types, and they offer to pay him to get rid of the raiders in this area. And this is such a classic Western trope, which has been done in tons of movies, some of them like Unforgiven and The Magnificent Seven. Pay the mysterious guy to take care of your problem. So Mando at first refuses, and he says that they aren't paying enough, but he reconsiders after he realizes that their isolated community would be a good place for him to hide out with the baby. He gets Cara to join, knowing that she would be a valuable ally, and he offers her the community's reward and reminds her that it would also be a great place for someone with a bounty on their head to hide out. We then meet the woman Omera and the child Winta from the first scene. They welcome Mando to the community, reminding him that he's now a protector, calling him a nice man. Winta plays with the baby, and we get a moment of fatherly concern from Mando again. Omera calms his worries, and we learn in this scene that Mando was taken in by Mandalorians who cared for him, and that he hasn't taken off his helmet since he was a child. And then he gets some food, and then he takes the helmet off, and I find it funny in this scene how close he actually is to everyone else. Omera could just look up and see his face. I think they could have used a little more distance in this shot, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be commenting on it. Cara and Mando then track the raiders and discover that they have an AT-ST, an Imperial walker that we first saw in Empire Strikes Back. Cara's a bit pessimistic, and she tells the community that they have to leave, that the two of them can't deal with the raiders and the walker. The people are stubborn and refuse to leave. They offer to fight, to learn how to fight. Mando says that he could teach them, and we get this great montage scene. Again, it's such a film cliche, and this one reminded me of movies like Army of Darkness and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. There's been a ton of movies where we go through this train us scene. So we get to hear their whole plan in this scene. And that just means that their plan isn't going to work out exactly how they want it to. You know, if it did work out how they wanted to, they wouldn't tell us beforehand. We learned that Omera knows how to shoot, so she has a bit of a mysterious past to her. So do you think she was an Imperial, a rebel, something else? Mando and Cara sneak into the Klatooinian camp where they're drinking some glowing beverage, which they have in tanks in their tents. They fight the raiders and then blow up their tent, luring them to the community. Now the AT-ST, much as you can imagine, doesn't fall for the trap at first, and the community has to take on the raiders. Now Cara goes it alone with Mando's pulse rifle until the walker finally does fall for that water trap. Then Mando takes it out with his detonator. They get their victory, and we cut to Baby Yoda happily playing with the children again. Cara shows him that he could be happy settling there, getting together with Omera, but Mando says he's leaving the baby there and moving on. Mando then talks to Omera, who also asks him to stay. She actually tries to remove his helmet, but he refuses, saying that he doesn't belong there. And as that's happening, this Kubazian bounty hunter is about to snipe the baby, but he's then taken out by Cara. So Cara reminds Mando that other bounty hunters will come, and Baby Yoda isn't safe there at all. So he has to move on again with the baby, and we're kind of back where we started at the beginning. Now, compared to the last episode, which I thought was the best bit of Star Wars we've seen since the original trilogy, this one was a bit of a letdown. But again, it was a really tough act to follow. We didn't nearly get as many Easter eggs in this episode. The last 3 have just been filled with them, and this episode was essentially a setup for things to come. We get our intro to a few characters which will come into play later. We get Mando's attachment to the community, his caring for Omera and his child, because he's been with them for that period, and you know that they're going to be in danger later on. Omera and her child are going to be threatened in some way. So do you think that maybe her child is important? We've still yet to see Giancarlo Esposito yet in his role as Moff Gideon that we saw in the trailers. He's our big Imperial threat for the season. Maybe he's also present on this planet, and he's the one who gave the AT-ST to the Klatooinians. Were they really hunting for Omera and her child on behalf of the Moff? Could that be like his mistress and daughter? My question is also, do you trust Cara Dune? We saw her glance up at Mando when he said that he was leaving the child in the village. And we also saw her offer to escort Mando in the child at the end of the episode. Is she a bounty hunter herself, trying to gain their trust? Or maybe she's still working for the New Republic, who might also be trying to find the baby. Is she connected to Moff Gideon because she's been on that planet before they showed up? And we still have this mystery of the baby. Is he a clone of Yoda? Is he Yoda's child? It must be more than a coincidence that the child is actually the same age as Anakin Skywalker. Are they both the result of cloning experiments done by Palpatine before Phantom Menace? That's a little theory of mine that I'm working on. And will this all play into the Rise of Skywalker, the last film that we're going to get this month? In the Skywalker line. So these are exciting times in the Star Wars world, so please keep watching with us, and please remember to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.